Hello everyone. So I think you have already studied what is meant by a continuous distribution. So basically you need a continuous random variable when you have date when you have a variable which takes values in some interval. Okay. For example, if I consider human heights, then I know that if I let's say this is suppose 8 feet and this is let's say 0 feet, then I know that things are not going to go beyond 0 to 8 feet. But more importantly, I know that every value between these 2 points is a possible value for height. Okay, possible I'm saying. It's not necessary that you have to exactly meet a person. For the sake of convenience, let us focus on 4 to 6. So, if suppose I consider one number here, let us say 4.2326, then it is possible to have a human being who has height 4.2326. Okay, the heights don't have to be integers like 456 or even something like only one decimal 4.5, 4.6. If you have an instrument which is accurate enough, so if you have an instrument which can capture minor differences, you can find someone with this height. In fact, you can find someone with this height. Okay. So, things depend only on the capacity of your instrument. Hence, we say that every value between 4 to 6 is technically possible. So, height becomes a continuous variable. So, for modeling such variables, there are many distributions. So, for example, the most common one is normal, but the most simple one is uniform. Okay. So, uniform distribution, what does it say? Uniform distribution says that between that range, if every value has equal chances of occurring, equal probability of occurring, it becomes uniform distribution. Okay, if this is a probability of occurring, something like that. But we will be discussing only normal distribution. There are some other distributions like uniform, for example, say exponential or gamma or beta, chi-square, t, f. But I would suggest you can just Google and maybe get a brief details about them. But today we will mainly focus on normal distribution. Okay. Now, first thing, just because the name is normal doesn't mean that it is universal. Okay, there are random variables which have other distributions that I mentioned just now. Okay, but of course this is the most widely used distribution in statistics. It is also known as Gaussian distribution. Gauss was a person, so G has to be capital. So it is also known as Gaussian distribution, and it is typically recognized by its bell-shaped curve. What do I mean by a bell-shaped curve? See, suppose this is say 0. Let me try to draw what is known as standard normal distribution. We'll discuss a bit later what is meant by standard, etc. So this is suppose 0, -1, -2, -3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So generally when you try to plot PDF or probability density function, then you take the most probable range here and then you try to draw the graph of PDF. So the normal graph looks something like this. It is symmetric. Okay, so it is symmetric on both the sides, and of course it is bell shaped, and this is a very classic curve, so it is known as bell shaped curve. Now symmetric means what? It is symmetric around mean. So in the case of standard normal, that is 0. So if you draw a line over here, the graphs are just overlapping. Means if you fold at this place, the graphs just overlap each other, graphs on both the sides. Okay. Now, what are the other peculiarities of this curve? As you can see, mode is at the center. Mode means the peak of the curve is at the center. So the middle values are most probable, right? They are more likely to occur than the extreme values. Extreme values like here or here have quite less probability of occurring, quite less chances of occurring. Of course, this graph is not exactly the probability, it is probability density, so it can be greater than 1 also. Okay. Now, middle values are most probable and extreme values are very rare. So this phenomenon is actually found in many natural variables. For example, as I mentioned, height. Most of us tend to have near average heights and very few people will be extremely tall and very few people will be extremely short. Same goes with weight. Same goes with something like blood pressure. Okay, most of the people will have near average blood pressure, very few will have very low and very few will have very high. If we focus on one, say for example systolic or diastolic. Okay, so most of the real life variables follow this pattern, that middle values are more probable and extreme values are very rare. Hence they can be modeled via normal distribution. Okay, so the form of the PDF of normal distribution is slightly complicated. So it is 1 upon root 2 pi sigma square is also in square root, e raised to minus half x minus mu square upon sigma square. So let me first discuss what is sigma and what is mu. Okay, we say that x follows normal mu sigma square if this happens. What does this mean? Mu is actually the population mean or the average value. So when we say for example that Indians have say female Indians have adult female Indians have average height of say 5.3, then it means for the normal distribution mu will become 5.3 and sigma square is actually variance of that random variable. Okay, so it indicates how much spread is there. So if sigma square is less, then the bell shaped curve, it would be a narrow bell, whereas if sigma square is large, it would be kind of a wider bell. Okay, and of course if the bell is narrow, the height would be more. If the bell is wider, the height would be less. Okay, why? Because if you remember that integration of PDF always has to be 1 when you take integral over the entire range. Okay, now what are the other peculiarities? So in the case of standard normal variable, mean is 0 and variance is 1. Okay, so that is the curve I was trying to draw here. Mean 0, variance 1. So the range is between -3 to +3 mostly. Okay, you might have heard the story that Dabbewalas in Mumbai were praised a lot by many people because of their accuracy in delivering. So they were supposed to have achieved what is called as Six Sigma quality. Okay, so there is term in quality control called Six Sigma limits, and the Dabbewalas had supposedly achieved this. So what it means, that actually goes to the standard normal thing. Do you remember the concept of CDF, cumulative distribution function? What is cumulative distribution function? CDF is probability of x being less than or equal to certain x. Okay, and using this we can compute percentiles. Okay, that's how in fact percentiles are computed. So for example, when you say that you have got 99 percentile in an exam, it means whatever score you have, let's say S, so probability of the other students having score less than that x, less than that value S, let me call it S0. So probability of other scores being less than that S0 was 0.99. So you are like ahead of 99% of the people. Okay, so that thing we are going to need here in the case of standard normal, or even while going from normal to standard normal. So first of all, one important thing we should know is if x follows normal mu sigma square, then we define x minus mu by sigma as z, and z follows normal 0 1. Okay, we are not going to go into the proof, but at least for mean and variance you can see easily. Because z is defined in this way, expectation of z would be 1 by sigma, since it is constant, expectation of x minus mu, because mu is also constant. So it becomes 1 by sigma, population mean of x is mu minus mu, so 0. Okay. Similarly, variance of z becomes 1 by sigma square variance of x minus mu, which is same as 1 by sigma square variance of x, because mu is constant, so variance of mu would be 0. So it is 1 by sigma square into sigma square, so 1. Okay. So if you have any normal random variable, it can be converted to standard normal via this. Okay. This is known as standardization. So the concept of z-score is important. Suppose a class test was conducted on two subjects, mathematics and statistics, okay, in your class. Okay, so suppose the class test is there is a class test of 50 marks in two subjects, mathematics as well as statistics. Suppose the average score in mathematics is 21, average score in statistics is 25. Variance for mathematics scores is suppose 4, and variance for statistics scores is suppose 16. Okay. Now we have a student, let us say person A, who has scored 15 marks in mathematics, okay, and in statistics, suppose the score of that person is 13. Okay. Okay. So the person has received suppose 15 marks in mathematics and 13 in statistics. So what do you feel? The person's performance is better in mathematics or statistics? Now, first question, how are you going to compare? Because even though the total score is 50, difficulty level of each paper might be different, right? We are assuming here that every student has equal capacity to learn both the subjects. Okay. Now, someone might say that, see, for statistics average score was more, still this person has got less marks compared to the mathematics score. So the person is doing better in mathematics. This is one way. So we will compare by what is known as z-score. So z-score for mathematics would be computed by this formula. So it would be 15, the actual math score, minus mean, that is 21, divided by sigma, so 2. So it would be minus 6 by 2, so that is minus 3. Okay. And z-score for statistics would be 16, no, sorry. For statistics the score is 13, so 13 minus 25 divided by 4. So this is minus 12 by 4, so this is minus 3. So actually both these z-scores match exactly. Okay, so what does this mean? This would mean that the percentile rank of a student in both these subjects, mathematics as well as statistics, is exactly same. Okay, so we would conclude that the person's performance in mathematics as well as statistics is actually the same. He is not doing better in mathematics than statistics or vice versa. Okay. So z-score can be used to compute a percentile rank. But how is that achieved? That is achieved via the cumulative distribution function. So if you want to compute CDF at x for any normal random variable, that is probability of x equal to x, that can be written as probability of x minus mu by sigma less than or equal to small x minus mu by sigma. Okay, small x is the actual value at which you want to compute CDF. So that is probability of z less than or equal to x minus mu by sigma. So we can convert CDF of any normal distribution to CDF of standard normal distribution. And for CDF of standard normal distribution, tables are available where you can check the values. Okay. Now, this probability would give me percentile rank. So suppose this probability is equal to, let's say, 0.8. What would it mean? It would mean that 80% of the values are less than this value. So we would say that the percentile score of a person would be 80% if this probability is 0.8. Okay. So in case of this student, the percentile rank would be probability of z less than or equal to minus 3. So this is actually pretty bad. This is almost 0. Okay. So this student is almost near the bottom of the class. Okay. So z-score helps us in comparing things which may not seem directly comparable at the first glance. That is the advantage of z-score. And this is actually later used in testing of hypothesis also. Okay. So to compare performances of say 2 different drugs or 2 different treatments, 2 different vaccines and so on. Okay. So this z-score also gives rise to the concept of Six Sigma limits. So as I said, if you have a normal curve, standard normal curve, then generally between minus 3 to plus 3, almost entire area is covered. Okay. So to be precise, 0.9973 is the area under curve from minus 3 to plus 3 for standard normal. So what is left in this range, below minus 3 and above plus 3 is just 0.0027 probability. Okay. This same thing, so z-score being between minus 3 to plus 3 is same as saying that x minus mu by sigma is between minus 3 to plus 3. So this is same as saying x is between mu minus 3 sigma to mu plus 3 sigma. Okay. So this standard normal curve, if I want to translate it to any normal curve, this is not triangle, okay, this is not supposed to be pointed. Then we can say that the peak is at mu. Here somewhere you have mu minus 3 sigma and here somewhere you have mu plus 3 sigma. So this area is very less. So total area on the two extremes is 0.0027 and the area in between is 0.9963. Okay. So this length of this total range is 6 sigma because you have 3 sigma on this side and 3 sigma on this side. Okay. So the 6 sigma limits in quality control come from this. So if 99.63% of your products conform to the standards roughly, then you say that yes, you have achieved this 6 sigma business. Okay, so that much quality control. So in case of Dabbawalas of Mumbai, if they deliver say 10,000 tiffins, then out of this 10,000, at roughly around only 27 tiffins are misplaced. In fact, not even that. Okay, so the number of mistakes is generally less than 27 on an average. Hence, they had been said to have achieved the Six Sigma standard of quality control. Okay, so these are a few things about normal distribution. We are going to need normal distribution extensively when we study testing of hypothesis. Okay, so I would say that please go and read things about normal distribution from the Daniels book on biostatistics and of course from Wikipedia also. Okay, because Wikipedia will give you some things, it may not be 100% precise, but it would give you some idea in easy words, and then you can go to the Daniels book to understand more things. Okay. As I said, this is one example that we saw, percentile rank. So I will say try a couple more examples on your own. Okay, Daniel's book has given lot of examples. It gives lot of examples. So try a couple more examples. In fact, you can say maybe you can take some data on heights. Some data on heights might be available on internet. Or you can take data on say rainfall, average rainfall or daily rainfall. Okay, so try these data sets, compute z-score, interpret the z-score, so you'll be more comfortable. Okay, just to summarize, what are the major properties of normal distribution? It is symmetric around the mean mu. Most of the area is covered between mu minus 3 sigma to mu plus 3 sigma. As a homework, try to find out how much area is covered between mu minus 2 sigma to mu plus 2 sigma and mu minus sigma to mu plus sigma. Okay, it's very easy to locate. So try to find out how much area is covered between these two. Okay, and any normal random variable can actually be converted to standard normal random variable. Okay, via the process which is known as scaling and centering, because we are making mean 0 and variance as 1, so it's kind of like scaling and centering. Or it is also known as normalization or standardization. Standardization is the most commonly used term. Is it okay? So another exercise is, in the Daniel's book, try to locate normal tables, okay, the CDF of normal distribution, and then try to see if you can understand how to read that. Okay, so you will get something like this. So you can find these values. So given any x, you can find these values. Okay, try to read those tables because we are going to need it for testing of hypothesis. Let me stop here. Thank you.